So welcome to the Angry Microwave podcast. I'm Callum, I'm the editor. We've got Andrew, who's
Hello.
a friend of the site, and the one and the internet's own Greg Miller.
Beyond!
Beyond!
Beyond.
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me. This is all. I haven't said in any of the emails. A great name for a podcast. Angry Microwave. Big fan. I like what you're doing there.
It's so hard to come up with a name, so we just thought pick an inanimate object and give it an
Put
emotion.
an anger to it. Nice. You seem like nice young gentlemen. You don't seem that angry.
I know. Well, you haven't seen us out on the night yet.
Not yet. Let's see how this podcast goes.
Yeah, exactly.
So our first topic is about you this week. We didn't even
Oh,
know
my
before
goodness.
we arranged this.
Did you like that? I did it on the sly. I booked a whole bunch of podcasts for this week, not telling anybody what was happening.
Very nice. So how's it been? I bet it's been crazy.
Dude, it's been insane. Like, I can't even tell you how crazy it's been. Like, yeah, we didn't, I mean, I don't think I knew what to expect in general. I kept telling people, like, they try to, oh, we should do this, we should do that. I'm like, yeah, we should, but let me get across the finish line. Let me see what happens on January 5th. And every day has been completely different. We've been running around from appointment to appointment. All great, don't get me wrong. I'm super happy to have no time and no sleep. But it's, it's just crazy, the amount of support and the amount of love we've gotten. We can't thank people enough.
It must have been a massive relief to see that Patreon have the support it's already had, especially with such a massive commitment you guys made to leave your great jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was our whole thing. I honestly thought what we expected was that the original Patreon, patreon.com/kindoffunny would go down because people would be like, well, I want the games content. I'll go support them on the game side. And we thought the games content would only get up to like $5,000. So to see it right now at $20,000, meanwhile the other ones jumped up to like $15,000, $16,000. It's crazy. We're so blessed.
How's it been like your first week like streaming and stuff? Because like it must be pretty weird working with like an office where you've got such big names visiting all the time.
Yeah.
Like Troy Baker just popping. Well, you got Troy Baker soon, haven't you?
Yeah, Troy Baker comes in on Tuesday, so it's not that abnormal for us, and that's what we hope to build, the Colin and Greg live to, and just kind of funny in general to have it not be weird. We haven't announced anywhere. This is your exclusive. We have the developers of Saints Row: Get Out of Hell coming in on Tuesday. We're going to live stream their game a week before it's out, and do stuff like that. So I still have those connections, which is nice, but it'll be interesting to see how everybody takes to it. You know what I mean? Like I thought it'd be more of an uphill battle, but everybody seems super supportive and they want to do stuff with us and be a part of it. So it's really great.
Yeah, and one of the really interesting things about Patreon is you basically have to kind of deliver like really good content to keep them up. So
Yeah.
is that like a lot of pressure or?
It's
or
a pressure
is it
we
a
like,
drive?
right? Like, I mean, that was the whole thing where, like, Colin, doesn't like Kickstarter because he doesn't like the idea of just giving somebody money blindly and then maybe in a year, maybe in 6 months, maybe never, you get your product or whatever. So for us, like, I like the fact that we are held accountable for every dollar we get. You know what I mean? Like, every one of these people is a paying customer who I need to respond to immediately, and that's why, like, it's been crazy this week of, like, being so stretched so thin, like I can't even put thoughts together on a podcast. But also that, I can't, like, I used to be on the Patreon for Kind of Funny on there every day answering comments, and, like, now there's so many of them I can't, so I have to post, like, letters saying, it'll get back to normal, I swear, but right now we're trying to do all this other stuff, and then, like, the game, like, every time we try to put a new podcast on SoundCloud, whether, we went through a whole bunch of stuff with the Game Over Greggy show where it finally got syndicated, everything was great. Now we're doing all of that same stuff with the Gamescast. Like, I'm there in the Patreon responding, telling you it's not really our fault, we're sorry, like, SoundCloud has to catch up to us. Not that I'm throwing them under the bus, but I am. That, like, we understand that you gave us money and you expect this product and we want you to know, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. We're there to respond and talk to you. Like, we're not taking it for granted. We're not going to sit there and like, oh, great, we got your money, bye, because we don't have your money and we want you to, it's not about money, it's about you being a satisfied customer.
And one of the big things from like the audience has been like worried about you not being at big events like E3 and like Gamescom. Are you planning to go fly out anywhere, or is that all in the
Our
pipeline?
plan right now, the only shows we're expecting to miss are PAX South this month, just because it was one of those things. It would have been impossible for me to like really book PAX South and not tell people I was leaving IGN. And then right now, the international shows are always going to be a question mark for us. Colin's the one who's always saying that Gamescom is really bigger than E3, and in 2 years, everyone in the industry will understand that. Yeah. But right now, it's just cheaper to fly to LA and do all that and figure that out. So we'll be at all the main shows you'd expect us at, theoretically, and then hopefully for TGS or Gamescom, we can get hired on for me to be a host, Nick to produce video. Somebody wants us to do a Kind of Funny panel. They want us to do the podcast from their booth. Like, those are the opportunities that are now available to us now that we're not part of IGN and we can, we've hung up our critic hats, right? We're personalities. We're here to talk about the games we love and tell you about them.
Yeah, kind of like GameStop lobby you was on the other day. Like that must have been pretty weird going over there as like a completely new like identity.
It was weird going over there with like something that crazy to say. I had done the lobby half a year ago when I went on to talk about Ghostbusters on Master System. I remember that was a big thing. Like people were like, wow, that's really cool. That's really weird. It's great to see IGN working together. And now to see, yeah, to go over there and just be able to talk about what we're doing, you know what I mean? Just to be able to talk about our own journey. And like, that's what's been so crazy. You know what I mean? Polygon wrote about us right away. They were the first people who wanted to do an interview with us when we broke. And then today, like Ben Kuchera put up his own editorial about everything we're doing. It's like, wow, it's so cool to see. I did an interview at the Daily Dot today, and I've been on a bunch of other podcasts. And it's just like, it's cool to see what we're doing affects so many people in so many different ways.
So we're going to talk about our second topic, which is why haven't Marvel done like a AAA video game like Red Spider-Man, but nothing within the universe? Like, would you be interested in seeing something like that happen?
Hell yeah. God, I'd love to see that. I love comic book video games, and I think that's such a great gateway for people like me who, honestly, you know, I always talk about it. Like, I'm a DC fanboy. I can tell you, I can talk your ear off about DC and Batman vs. Superman, but, like, they're getting into, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, into characters I don't know anything about. So I didn't know anything about Guardians. I don't really know a lot about Scarlet Witch. I don't know anything about Quicksilver other than he runs fast and he was cool in the last X-Men movie. So it's like, as you continue to get off in that, games are a great way to come in and fill in those gaps, right? I know a lot about Spider-Man because I enjoyed reading Spider-Man comics, and then they had an awesome animated series, and they did try to put out games, and they did do cool stuff.
Sorry. No, I find it a shame that the best Marvel game out at the moment is Lego Marvel. I mean, it's a great game, but I think it's the thing, like, a big collection of characters is always fun, like, taps into all the side stuff that not many people will know about, because you're not going to get many big releases of any of the smaller characters.
And what character would you like to see in a video game? Like Iron Man would be pretty cool to do like a GTA kind of thing, like the mod was out a few years back. But imagine a fully fleshed out city which you could go around being Iron Man. That'd be so awesome with like Oculus Rift support.
And that's the thing that, like, I don't understand how people haven't wrapped their head around. Like, and like, you imagine the big change, I feel, is it's already happening. There has to be games in development right now that are going down this road because Marvel gets it. And if you remember, they were with Activision forever, and then Activision was like, that contract's over. We have to take their games off like the digital stores. You know what I mean? So it would appear that in getting ready for Disney, I forget if it was after or before Disney, but like those contracts were up, and now you imagine Disney has put those out to talented developers who are going to give time to, you hope, right? That was always the thing, is that Activision has a very, 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 very talented group of developers that works on games for them, but they never gave them time to produce something, right? Like, the one I always go back to is that Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions was a great game. It was a lot of fun, really cool, really good fan service, interesting Spider-Man story, and then they were like, all right, do it again with Edge of Time. And they put out Edge of Time, and they turned it so quickly it wasn't that great. And they're like, all right, do it again with Amazing Spider-Man. And then that was the one, do it again with Amazing Spider-Man 2. And somehow Amazing Spider-Man 2 was worse than Amazing Spider-Man 1. And you're like, what? This is going the opposite direction. You get more time with this hero, the game should get better, not worse. But it's just, you know, the gun to your head of getting this out and getting it done and being a licensed property, Gamehouse. And you hope that whoever has it now, they're going with the Rocksteady approach of, here's the game, here's the property, be awesome with it.
But we're so willing to obviously put money into things, because like the TV series, that wasn't really heard of, like putting so much money into them, and that's clearly paid off. So it would be pretty awesome if they could do something within the cinematic universe and maybe branch off on like just a character's route and then bring that story over, and then he features in like a tiny part in the film. I think that'd be great if they did that, but obviously it's a big risk of video games. Bear in mind, it takes probably like three years to make a good one, I'd say.
I'd like to think so, yeah. So, you put in pre-production and everything else, sure.
So yeah, I think it would need a lot of work and a lot of money to go into, but if they manage to pull it off right, it could be massive for like crossing over like all these different like forms of media.
And you would hope they get that. Yeah, I mean, they saw, like, Batman laid out the perfect plan. Now I say that, of course, and you don't see a Superman game yet, you don't see a Justice League game. It's not like it's that easy, right? But like, they showed you if you take a character people love, you can make it into a giant franchise all its own.
Yeah, I find like some superheroes are really designed just to be ridiculously powerful, and I don't think you will ever see a good Superman game. And I think that's the same thing with some things like Thor, that he's so powerful, so strong. There's not really much you can do with it too much. I think I've angered you.
Never gonna be a good Superman game, is what you just said.
Yeah. I watched your Superman 64 video the other day. That was a good laugh. I don't think we're gonna see much. There's not much you can do, but I mean, Batman isn't a power fantasy really. You're like finding your way through you're not the one in power, whereas so many other
It's
superior
a
things
power.
are.
Fuck you. It's a power.
It's not as much.
Batman. You have an indispensable income. You have all this money. You have all these gadgets. You have all these different things to do. Trust me, that's a power thing.
I mean, you're not ridiculously strong. You have to think your way around things rather than.
You're right. You just move faster than everyone else and get to
Yeah.
like 20 of them at once. Superman. You want to know who will make the best Superman game? It'll be Telltale Games.
Yes.
Ah,
I mean,
nice.
just remove it from it and get. That's always people think that Superman's a boring character because he's too powerful. And I think that I in my head have a great video game. I keep hinting at and then saying business at kindoffunny.com. Now I can tell you my whole game. Sell it to you, whoever you want to make it. But I think it's a cop out. It's the same thing with the movies, right? It's the same thing with a lot of things. Like Superman is a tougher character to write for, I think, because everybody has this opinion of Superman based on the Christopher Reeve movies that he can rewind time. And so that fucked up everything for everybody. Where now you can just rewind time. It's like, you can't really do that. He's not that powerful.
I just want a side note. Like, I think Telltale have got too many games at the moment because like they've got so many licenses. It's a bit of a side thread, but they've got so many licenses at the moment. It's
it's one of those things. I understand the quality of the games keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
I think it's one of those things.
That's why it doesn't matter. They got too many licenses. What are you talking about? They're great. Let them go. I don't care. I like that Telltale's operating on this structure that it's like, hey, like it's one of those things for nerds like us that play everything and know who Telltale is. It's like, man, they just keep putting out the same game with different people in it or whatever. When the writing sucks and the story sucks, then I'll have a problem with it. But like even the engine's getting better now that they're putting it on like PlayStation 4, and they don't have to worry about porting it down to PS3 and Xbox 360. As long as they're not screwing up, like Back to the Future was terrible. Jurassic Park was terrible. You know what I mean? Like there was things that went off the rails and went bad, but like Game of Thrones was totally good. I don't even care about Borderlands story, and I totally like Tales from the Borderlands. It's like I say keep at it, and I mean, yeah, they keep announcing. They got this Minecraft one, and like people are all up in arms about that. I'm like, that sounds cool too. Why not do something different in the Minecraft world?
Yep. The problem is though, if we see too many Telltale games where we see, I mean, there's so much illusion of choice there. If you start seeing through it, if people start realizing their choices don't matter that much, well, they don't affect too much, I think people will start seeing through it and kind of getting bored thinking that the choices don't really matter and not really thinking through.
But don't you think your choices do matter? I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I understand the fact that, with the exception of like Walking Dead Season 2, all of the Telltale games end the same way, right? Yeah. What I always talk about is the fact that, Walking Dead Season 1, when people would pop up and say, oh, my choices didn't matter, this sucked, this game wasn't any good, what I always talked about is, like, you can say that, and I understand that, but, like, you felt something for those characters. And so I always talk about the fact that Telltale had a story to tell. And so I always talk about, like, a coloring book. They gave us all the same black and white picture and asked us to color it. And so each one of us colored something a little bit different. And even though it's the same picture for everybody, the coloring made it our own, right? Like, my experiences and my choices with Lee, that made my Lee, right? And that's why it's always so disturbing to watch somebody else play it, and they start playing like an asshole, or they don't talk. And like, oh, no, like, Lee would never do that. What are you talking about? And, like, it's an interesting thing of, like, I prefer that over no game is really going to be is there not going to be an illusion of choice. There's always somebody telling you it's got to be A, B, or C, or whatever. And so I'd rather it be that than Uncharted every time where there's like no choice, right? It's this, and that's it, and you're done. Like even Spider-Man, tip my tongue. Web of Shadows, right? Like Spider-Man Web of Shadows was the same way, where it's like either you're good or you're evil Spider-Man, and you didn't get rewarded for going back and forth. There was no real thing, so. It's like Infamous, right? There's an illusion of choice there too, where you're like, oh man, am I gonna play good or bad? You make the decision from the first choice, and then making the rest of the choices is kind of dumb because you're not gonna screw it up.
Yeah, I think it's always fun to reflect on your own decisions, compare yourself to other people at the end, even if your choices don't come out outcome in the story.
See how twisted you are.
And that's why I think Telltale succeeds in that model so much, is the fact that at any point you can choose whatever the hell you want to say and do, and it doesn't really take it off the rails. Whereas like if I'm Good Karma Cole the entire game of Infamous 2, at the very end to make an evil karma decision, it's stupid. Why would I do that? That fucks up everything I've built to this point. Whereas Telltale's like, well, whatever you do is whatever you do. There's no good choices. They're all gray.
What would your dream property be? Like mine would be, you couldn't really redo it, but Breaking Bad would make an awesome Telltale game if you could make all the choices and what you would do, there's so many dilemmas in the show already that you could make, like whether to run over. Well, I won't make any spoilers. Whether you killed someone or saved someone, I reckon that would have been a great thing to have done as a game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Telltale would lend itself well to a superhero game, and I always talk about the fact that whenever I'm with them, I tell them that they should do Superman, and whenever I run into Robert Kirkman, I tell them let them do Invincible. Like, you know what I mean? Like Invincible would honestly be more interesting because you figure, but they'd probably have to wait for the comic to end because of continuity and yada yada yada. But Invincible, they actually don't. No one's sacred, right? I don't know if you guys read the book. At any point, anybody could get killed or fucked up. It's like Walking Dead. Whereas like Superman, right? It's not like you're gonna make a choice that ends with Lois dying, unless they were really awesome and let them go like the Injustice route and like things got crazy.
What would your dream game like? What your dream game like by Telltale be, Andrew?
I would actually quite like to see something like BioShock, like a pre-full Columbia, expand out something like that, or maybe pre-full
really
Rapture.
Yeah, especially with the movie like concept that we saw the other day. Like if you gave like the team behind that like some kind of input into a Telltale game, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a shame to never see that film come out, though. It's one of those things, though, you can't really aim it. You're not going to get the funding to aim at an 18+, but there's no way you could do that film not an 18+. But in a video game like a Telltale game, you could.
Yeah, so it's a bit like Deadpool at the moment. Like everyone's hoping that's going to be R-rated, but no one actually knows what it's going to turn out to be because that could make or break that film quite a bit, whether it's R-rated or not.
Yeah.
So our second topic is what film, like, if you could experience a film for the first time again, what film would it be? So, Andrew, do you want
I'll take charge of that. For me, it would have to be South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut. The reason is, I watched that film when I was way too young, and I had no idea what the jokes mean, but I've spoiled it for myself, and now I'm a huge South Park fan. If I went back and if I rewatch it now, I spoil it for myself. But if I could watch it for the first time and hear all the jokes for the first time, where I can actually understand it, that'd be fantastic.
And what would yours be, Greg?
Yeah, for me, wow, that's a good question. Like, I immediately want to go Ghostbusters just because to see it in the theater for the first time and not know any of the jokes and not know what was coming and have all that'd be really, really cool. But then I'm also drawn to the podcast. I'm also drawn to
before the podcast, and we made a £5 bet that you would say Ghostbusters first.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad I'm that predictable.
You just cost me £5.
And we've got party poppers for it as well.
We can live up to the Angry Microwave name now.
What did you say I was going to say?
I just said it wouldn't be Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters is such a magic movie, right? And like now it's so ingrained in my DNA, like knowing every line and knowing how scenes look and da-da-da. To be in there and I never saw it in the theater. Well, I have since then, but not when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like to have all that erased and go into a theater and have it get dark and see this and laugh with an audience, like it's stuff you didn't know was about to happen. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I've kind of got two. Like one's a really recent one. Have you seen Instantly yet?
No, I haven't.
I still haven't.
Oh well, it's going to be a bit of a thing you can't really relate to then. But there's so many twists and turns in it. I would love to experience that. And the other one is probably The Dark Knight. It's like the story's great, but like imagine seeing Heath Ledger's Joker again with no preconceptions of what that would be like, only from the past ones. Like you'd be blown over how different it was again.
Yeah, I remember watching Dark Knight in the theater, and when he his first like real moment or whatever is when he does like the pencil magic trick.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being cognizant of being enraptured in this, of seeing this live action Joker finally, you know, after so many blurry images and like things they had done like from afar, even in the bank heist scene when he pulls off the mask and he's still not who he is or whatever. Like seeing it, I just remember like I'm seeing this totally new interpretation of the Joker for the first time on screen. This is awesome.
Yeah, I saw that in the IMAX, which is an amazing way to experience that film. Like, have you seen it in IMAX before?
No.
Oh, it's amazing because basically, like all the aerial views, and when he's on top of the massive building that they filmed in Shanghai, I think, it fills the screen massive. It's one of the visually most impressive things I've seen. It's so good. Have you been to an IMAX before?
Oh yeah, we have one in San Francisco. I've seen stuff there. I think I saw one of the Harry Potters there. Some other stuff. You know me, I want all movies to come out day and day digital. Just let me watch them on my TV or my iPhone.
And talking about that, have you seen The Interview?
I haven't yet, no. I'm a total hypocrite after all this. Like, I want it day and day digital. It was, I don't know if you noticed, it was a very busy first part of the year for me. Building up those last 2 weeks have been little sleep and a lot of production. So I'm behind on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was really impressive. See, they've made I think $33 million from digital sales, which is crazy for them to make that much money in such a new way of format. Yeah. So what are you playing at the moment? Are you playing anything good, or you just been crazy busy?
Crazy busy. I mean, mainly we've been jumping around doing Let's Plays. That's where, so I'm playing a lot of Smash, Mario Kart. Colin started me on Mega Man. I want to launch off this month. We're doing for the Kind of Funny Crowd, a Game of the Month Club kind of thing where we play a game and then I get 3 people to talk about it with me from the crowd. So I'm gonna start Super Metroid probably this weekend for real. Like I've given it passing glances, but that, and then I want to play more Destiny. Like I have the hooks in me to play more and get further, but then H1Z1 comes out on early access next week. I'm going to be playing that. I just got into the Evolve beta. There's a whole bunch of stuff I need to get done and actually screw around with a bit.
And what are you playing, Andrew?
I haven't been. I'm looking for a story game to get into, but I've just been dipping in and out of Smash. Really, that's just where all my time's going at the moment.
Yeah, Smash is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm useless at it though. This is my first Smash game, so I'm really new to it all. So it's
this is
quite an
go back and
experience.
experience the game for the first time.
Yeah, especially playing online.
Yeah, Mario Kart's been amazing. Like me and Andrew have met up a few times with their friends and just played that. And obviously you have on the stream the other night.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to play with your friends. Apart from I'm the person that normally comes last.
But with Smash, there's also a Lethal League that we've been playing a bit of split screen as well. I'm not sure if you heard of that one, Greg, but
I haven't heard of that one.
it's basically Smash Brothers, but you as you hit a ball, it goes faster. If you get hit by the ball once, you're out, and it gets very intense. And we've been sat down to go to play Smash Brothers some days, and we just end up playing that instead for hours, and that's fantastic.
What is it, a PC game?
Yeah, it's on PC.
Gotcha.
Oh no, PC.
We're not getting into
this.
this.
Origin there now. I've been using every day. I'm getting to be a PC gamer now. That's what I'm gonna play Evolve on here in a little bit. I'll be playing that H1Z1 on there. Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna learn all about my drivers soon.
It was a massive PC you got from Origin, your main desktop. It was massive.
Yeah, it's gigantic, right? That Millennium is insane. And I'm glad that they aren't mad at us for those videos of Colin and I not knowing what the hell we're doing.
It looks so intimidating being there, like
right? Yeah.
So big.
It lights up, it does all this stuff, but I'll tell you what, man, that thing streams like nobody's business. You know what I mean? Like I was so impressed that like the Twitch streams all run well and do what they're supposed to do. It's just wow, I can't get over it.
I was every week and basically recommend like a film or game. So I'll start off. Black Mirror by Charlie Brooker. It's basically like a modern Twilight Zone, and it tells you these stories of like futuristic things that's not too far from the future. It's really good. It's on Netflix, but it's really twisted. And there's an article I think on The Verge earlier talking about how some of this technology is already real, which is quite scary. And it's on Netflix on the US and UK now. And the Christmas special's just come out now, so that's really good. Have you got one, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with basically my favorite indie game of last year, which has to be Transistor. I mean, we talked about it a bit before the stream, but I mean the art is absolutely incredible. The soundtrack is probably my favorite album of last year, and the gameplay is just top notch. It's a mix of a turn-based RPG and an action RPG, and you sort of pause the game to do your turns, and it is just beautiful. It's definitely worth your time.
Have you got anything, Greg?
It's a movie or a game?
Yep, anything you want to recommend.
I'm gonna say What If. What If? It's on Amazon Instant, or it's not Prime, I don't think, but it's Amazon Instant. That's how I got it. It's a movie. It's a romantic comedy. It's a good date night movie. I watched it with Christina a couple nights ago. Daniel Radcliffe. He's in this. He meets this girl who they're soulmates, kindred spirits, or whatever, and she's got a boyfriend. And it's kind of like his trials and tribulations with that. It's pretty good.
Okay, and finally, while we got you here, that's what you're looking forward to coming out in the next 3 months. Like we've got The Order. And we've got Evolve, and we've got Battlefield Hardline. Is there anything that's jumping out, or?
I mean, I'm very much what's happening right now. So I'm still I hold out hope for H1Z1 being interesting. You know what I mean? Like I had played it at PAX, or not? Yeah, PAX actually, and it was like it didn't hit with me, but I think it was just I was dropped into the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't had the intro or anything like that. So I'm hoping running around killing zombies and trying not to get killed by friends will be awesome. That's what's really sticking out for me right now. And then a little bit beyond that. Beyond. Shoot, it's getting away from me. What is it? It's a crap. I don't know. It's gone now. There's some game. Oh, I'm Dying Light. I'm interested in Dying Light.
Oh yeah, we did an interview with the lead designer before. It's so great to see like what they're trying to do with it. Like all the free running, just making the environment so open.
Yeah, so there you go. The games I'm excited for are all zombie games. The free running, you gotta hide at night and stuff. It sounds cool. Like I like that. I always liked Dead Island, so to see this like have Dead Island influences, but then mixed with Mirror's Edge seems really cool.
Yeah, the order looks like it could be good, but they really need to get down their technical hitches.
Yeah, well, it seems like they have, man. Like, that was the big thing we talk about with that game all the time, is how, Colin came back with a bad at first impression, but every time we've seen it since then, it's run better, it's been better. And when I finally got to play something new at PlayStation Experience, I was like, yeah, I totally want this. I totally want to sit down and play with this game.
How was that, the PlayStation Experience, quickly? Was that amazing to be at?
PlayStation Experience was so cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things of just, to take me out of the equation of who I am and what my career is built on, just being there and being at an event that's all these people who believe in one product company they feel like they have an ownership in PlayStation. They feel like they're this community. That was really super cool to see kids come together and be friends and hang out and talk about games and do all these different things. Now, to put me back into it, I'll tell you what, if you guys ever want to feel like the Beatles, go to a PlayStation inaugural event after covering PlayStation for 8 years. Colin and I were stopped by every human being there, and it was amazing. It was awesome. And I mean, especially now, at the time, for Podcast Beyond the PlayStation Experience, I got choked up saying goodbye. And now it's one of those things, like, I think maybe there's context to it, that I knew I was leaving. I knew this is my last live event probably for Podcast Beyond. And so, like, to have it be the final Beyond I'll probably ever do at a live event where I'm, like, the lead host, I'll pop up if they ever want me to, is insane that it was at PlayStation Experience. It's like one of those, like, full circle moments of the show we built for this community, and then we're at an event that's for that community. It was insane.
Yeah, was that quite scary, kind of like setting off this new thing? Because I know you're going to continue it, but obviously there's going to be an end date soon. Is that in your back of your mind at the moment, or?
It's not scary as much as it is sad. You know what I mean? Like, I've been on since episode 1. That's a podcast I literally built and did all these things for, and a brand I was talking about somebody else, like, I really always feel like we hit our stride, me, Colin, and Clements, when we did Beyond 150. And that was roughly 20, 30 episodes, weeks was what it would be, after Roper left. And that's where I really felt like we were cemented, we were the crew, this is who we are. And it's when we debuted the Podcast Beyond logo. And now that logo is so synonymous with that podcast. And it was the first time we ever had a Podcast Beyond shirt. And there's all these different things now we take for granted with the brand and the show, just because it's so, that's what Beyond is and what it does. But to think back to that moment when we did that and we cemented it, and now where it is, it's sad to leave it behind. I'm excited to see it evolve. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see whoever gets it next with Marty, what they do with it. Like,
who is your dream team?
My dream team? Oh my god.
To take over.
See, I feel like I'll leave people out if I do it, but so Marty's already done, so I don't even count him. I love Jared on the show. He's so interesting. He has such a great knowledge of games. He's so fascinating. And then he fits in the way of, like, he's like the positive version of Colin Moriarty, right? He's like, hey, I know games really well, and on top of that, I have all these fascinating stories of getting arrested at Disneyland or yada yada yada.
The Wikipedia of video games.
Exactly. And then, you have to say Brian Altano. Like, such a crowd favorite. Everybody loves Brian. Makes me laugh like nobody else.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where that show goes.
Yeah.
Because it's got such a great fan base behind it. And if they can support whoever comes next, like they have with you, Colin, it would just be amazing to watch and see where it goes from now onwards and beyond.
Beyond.
So that's it. Thanks so much for being on the show. Do you want to plug?
Oh my god, thank you so much.
Do you want to plug your massive list of things that you have going on at the moment then, or?
Sure. The easiest way to keep up with me is go to kindafunny.com, KINDA funny.com, and then subscribe to our 2 YouTube pages. If you like us, give us some money on Patreon. If you don't like us, just subscribe to the YouTube pages. Follow me on Twitter at GameOverGreggy.
And Andrew, where can we follow you?
Twitch.tv/Andy3471. It's not the most memorable of names, but I'm quite new to it.
And I'm on Twitter at CMoorin, CNOORIN. And if you stay tuned to The Angry Microwave, you can find us on Facebook, One Angry Microwave, and Facebook / The Angry Microwave, or on the site theangrymicrowave.com. And that's it. Thanks so much, Greg and Andrew, for being on. I think it's been a great first episode. So it'll be coming out every Friday from now on. So stay tuned for that.
And you're always going to have somebody who just quit their jobs to go do these. That's the hook.
So yeah, that's it. I'll do a party popper to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.